So let's get started, I think. So Sunday morning, first Sunday in snowing to beat the bend here in upstate New York. Oh dear. Yeah, we got snow tomorrow morning, Happy Mac, definitely for us. So I think you've got it up front. Okay, so as I said, first Sunday in April, and the first Sunday that I'll be doing Tales from the Greenhouse. Hopefully, I'll be doing this every Sunday for the next few months. We'll see how it goes. Do a little rundown of what I'm doing that week and any sort of tips I can give, and any tips you guys can give me actually as we're going along. I thought, as in the advertisement, I would talk a bit about seed sowing today, and also I'm going to be taking some cuttings from my geranium that I potted up in a video earlier on in the year. Got it back from the dead type thing, so it's got some nice growth on here. So I'll be taking some cuttings from this later to get some nice plants this year. I haven't sowed much in the way of seeds yet so far, only peppers and tomatoes. Here are some of the tomatoes that I've sowed a couple of weeks ago. They're doing nicely. They've been in my sort of playroom downstairs that has a south-facing set of French doors, so a good bit of light in there. So they've been all right. But the peppers, they've hardly germinated at all so far. So I'm not doing too well on that front. But that's not all lost. I'm going to leave them for a few weeks yet to carry on. But now really April is when I start sowing seeds. Oh, the other thing I've sowed earlier on a few weeks ago, it's probably about a month ago now, was some lettuce that I had in this pot here, and I sowed this lettuce and had it in the kitchen really, and it's germinated, and I've already been picking lettuce from it, and that's been fantastic. The amusing thing is that now I also sowed some lettuce behind me in a in the raised bed that's behind me, and literally the size of the lettuce there is about the size of that part of my little fingernail. So it's amazing, obviously, and I know it's an obvious thing, the difference that a little bit of heat makes. In here, we'll actually get more sun than that than my kitchen window, but that obviously extra heat that you get in the kitchen compared to cold nights in here make all the difference in the growing of the lettuce. And that's what I'm always talking about. People are really keen to get their sowing seeds outside at this time of year. Maybe in the UK and further down in Europe and the United States, etc., where it's starting to warm up a little bit. Here in zone 6, etc., seeds aren't going to germinate at this time of year outside. And if they are, or if you've sowed some seed indoors and germinated it and plant it out too early now, they're just going to sit there in the cold, not really growing at all in outside in your raised bed. So I believe it's not worth sowing your seeds at this time of year, outside, or planting anything really outside, especially as here we're due that snow tomorrow, about 20 centimeters. Anyway, today I'm going to sow some what am I going to sow? Some sweet peas, if I can find them. Just remembered I'm actually supposed to be sowing some seeds, aren't I? Where are we? Peas. I've got some peas I'm going to sow and some sweet peas somewhere. Maybe not the sweet peas then. We'll do some peas. So I normally sow a few different types of peas. Today I've got Champion of England. And I've got some, what we got here? I don't want Mr. Big. Some snow peas. What are these ones? Anyone's in particular? No, it just says snow peas. And some Mr. Big then. Some Mr. Big. And I normally, so these are one of the sort of only veg I sow out quite early and put out quite early, but they don't mind a little bit of coolness. Although again, you know, nothing likes it that cold. So I normally sow them indirectly in here in the greenhouse first, and I normally use the old toilet rolls that I've made into little boxes and just put them in here. So I always find that is quite easy because they're, you know, they've got a nice long root run and they like a nice long root run. So rather than sowing them in a in a little seed box and then transferring to something else, I normally just plant them in here. And for these, it's literally just plonk one in there. And I'm literally just going to put these one each in here. So I've got, I know they know, you know, the experts normally say sow two in there and then take one out, etc. But I don't normally have that much trouble in them germinating. So that is the Mr. Big. You know, let me take that one out and put that one there. I know where they are. So that's what I do with peas, really. I'm just going to show you that one little sort of bit with the peas. I've already watered this. So a couple of things, actually. I'm a bit haphazard here this morning. My first live sort of, other than that book reading the other day. So bear with me. So when I'm, so let's go back to the basics of seed sowing, etc. The compost you want is a nice light compost. I, again, try not to use, or I don't use any peat-based composts. I use leaf mold. Where is it? Where's my leaf mold gone? Excuse me. So I use leaf mold, which, as you can see, I think there turns into a nice light mix. Doesn't have much in the way of nutrients in it, but your seeds don't need, your seedlings for the first couple of weeks don't need much in the way of nutrients. They've got everything in there they need in that seed. For those first couple of weeks, they just need something moist, warm, and that is all they really need to sort of get themselves going. And then after a couple of weeks, you know, once your first true leaves, so the second set of leaves that come, they are normally that's when you sort of need to start thinking about transferring them from the initial mix into, you know, potting them up. So leaf mold, I always sieved leaf mold, I think, is a fantastic seed sowing mix, and it always does me well. So that's that. I normally water, where are we here? Put these to the side. I normally water my tray about half an hour before, so that, you know, you sow your seeds and then you're not watering it with a watering can and then washing your seeds all out of the tracks that you've put or anything like that. So I have a nice moist mix early. And that's it, really. Firm it down nice and firm. And I normally, rather than broadcasting it all over, I normally like to put a couple of runs in there like that. And most seeds, you know, obviously the bigger the seed that you have, the deeper it has to go in. I think it's something like 2 times the depth. The size of the seed is the depth that it goes in. But, you know, for most of your seeds, your lettuce seeds, your beets, things like that, I just do a shallow little drill and then follow the drill. In fact, what have I got here? What did I say I was going to plant this morning? Beets. We won't do beets like that. Again, all over the place here. But Right, so I'm going to sow some beetroot today. I've got some early wonder, and these ones, which I like the look of, called Touchstone Gold. Never grown them before, but I'm going to grow them in the old multi-sowing route. So I've got one of these trays with modules, nice sturdy tray, so that'll keep me a few years. So it's got modules in it, and what I'm going to do, because obviously beets are a root crop and you would normally directly sow them into the ground, I'm going to sow these about 3 or 4 in a module. And then I will transfer the whole module like into the ground with the 3 or 4 actual beets plants in it. And then as they grow, they would sort of naturally push each other out. But it's actually a good way of, you know, you don't get the most massivest beets in the world, which I don't particularly want, but it's a good way of growing a lot of beets in a small area. So there's your sort of beet seeds, not particularly small ones. They're a good size so you can see them. So all I'm going to do is, I'm going to see how I'm going to do this. Move that down that way a bit. There we go. So all I'm going to do, there we go, this side here. I'm going to plant 1, 2, 3, 4 beets, as you can see there. And I'll do that with a couple more. Who we got come in there? So howdy M, Cindy and Neil. Hello there, Cindy and Neil. How you doing? So I'm planting those in like that, and then I'm just going to cover them with a light covering of compost. You know, just a centimetre or so of compost, and then hopefully they will germinate. I'm going to put them as usual somewhere nice and warm. Soon as they germinate, I can take them out of the warm area that I'll have them in and put them straight into the greenhouse, really, because it's starting to warm up. And beets, again, don't mind a little bit of cool weather. So I'm literally going to do that with all of these different modules. And you know, that's pretty easy. I think there's nothing, I don't think, particularly difficult about seed sowing or starting your own plants. It's just making sure they get enough light once they've germinated. So they don't need light until they germinate, and then making sure they do on a nice south-facing windowsill or in the greenhouse. And there we go. So that's beets. Obviously, I showed that's how I'm sowing my peas in these modules. I actually need to sow some more lettuce as it happens. So let me see if I can find some lettuce while I'm here. That's some lettuce and some chard. So this is where I'm going to use this one. So let me pull this camera down again. Right, so I'm going to do these drills. Got some lettuce butter crunch here, like butter crunch. That always grows nicely. Nice and crisp as well. And as usual, just going to run a few lettuce down the run there. Don't have to over seed them. 2 lines will do. And then literally I'll just firm them in. So that's lettuce. These chard is a bit bigger. So I can literally place them in and see where I've got. I think next time I definitely need the camera a bit higher, don't I? So you can see down a bit better. So there are the actual chard. And obviously I want to make sure that I label everything. So that's the butter crunch. Right, who's got any questions about? Oh, look, it's Liz from By the Farm. Look, we've got a bit of a film star on the set today. How you doing, Liz? Where are we? What was I just sowing? Chard, wasn't it? Got some chard. And then, as usual, I'm just going to sprinkle a couple of centimeters of compost across the top, just enough to cover. And then I normally firm it down with my old firmer, just to make sure everything's in contact. And that's it. I've watered it already. Don't want to water it again, like I said. Put that somewhere warm to germinate now. And jobs are good 'un. So what are people sowing at this time of the month at the moment? So we're in February, we're in April. I'm now this month. And they're so easy to make, Liz, as well. Just knock a couple of pallets to bits, cut them up, and I've got various different sizes. Depends on what offcuts I've got on the actual at the time. Where have I got some other ones? Yeah, whenever I have any offcuts, I just knock up a couple of these boxes. And just so easy to make. And because they're mostly hardwood, the ones I use as well, they last a long time. They've lasted well so far for the sake of a few nails. What we got here then? So Cindy and Neil, you've started cukes, tomato. Yeah, tomatoes and peppers I have. Cucumbers, I'm going to wait another couple of weeks, I think, for cucumbers, because they do grow quite quickly anyway. Hello to Bruz. Yes, nice. It was actually a bit chilly a few. In fact, although I am actually getting a bit warm. So good thinking there. As soon as the sun comes in now, which is just coming across on the south of the greenhouse, you know, as in all greenhouses, it's absolutely wonderful. So what we got there? Lots of flowers. Yeah, I've sowed lots of flowers already. I've got some Monarda bee balm. What else have I got in here? Sowed a load of lavender. Oh, there's some onions there. Hang on, let me see what I've got there. I tell you what I find actually for flowers is I can't remember what the British call it. Cilantro. What do we call cilantro? Coriander. I think coriander is one of the best plants to have in your veg area for obviously the leaves to start with, then the flowers. The pollinators absolutely love them, the flowers, and then obviously the seeds later on. You've got coriander seeds. I mean, if you like Indian food that I do, then I think that's one of the best plants you can have for attracting pollinators is coriander or cilantro. Tabruz, yes, it is going to snow here tomorrow. 20 centimeters. Beetroot and spinach. Yes, Liz. Yes, I've sowed some spinach. Got some in my oh, my battery's running low.